From the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, Theo Dorsey is theoretically speaking. Streaming live on YouTube, here's Theo Dorsey.
It's Emotion Monday here on Theoretically Speaking. It's your boy Theo Dorsey back at you. And, man, this rejoin C-Cat might have drawn it up perfectly. I don't want to be a player no more because my guy Ricky Williams is joining us right now here for the first time on Theoretically Speaking on ESPN 106.3. He's a former Heisman winner, former Miami Dolphins running back, a 2002 first-team All-Pro, which we got to talk about because that was a competitive year. But you infamously or famously, really, in 2004 said, I don't want to be a player no more. You chose yourself and your own personal growth. Ricky, appreciate you pulling up, Doc.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm curious for you, man. We talked earlier. You said the football season is here and you can feel it in the air. For somebody that played at the NFL level, 11 years, somebody that's a third all-time leading rusher in college football, and you had a heck of a journey with the game of football. What is it like what is it like for you these days when football season comes up?
You know, it's always mixed feelings because, you know, so much. The reason I'm here talking to you right now is because of football. So much of what I have in life and who I am is built on the foundation of football. And I'm grateful for that. But, you know, I'm not a football player anymore. I haven't put the pads on in 15 years. And so life goes on, you know, and so for me, it's really been taking everything that I learned in football and building on top of it. And so when football season comes back now, it's a celebration of like what it means when it's time to get to work. Because, you know, even before NFL, college, high school, you know, is that your life is normal and then football season comes and everything changes. You know, your body's going to hurt for the next 6 months. You're going to be so hyper focused. The level of stress is going to go way up. And so it's about it's like a soldier going to battle, right? You got to get your mind right. And everything has to be towards being the best football player you can possibly be. And I think that's a wonderful thing. But I think once you retire, you got to find something else to do. You got to find somewhere else to put it.
Well, you're a father, too, so now the falls, isn't that more so like school? Like the first day of school is around the corner for you? You got to take care of those kind of things?
It was for a minute, but I'm in this place now where most of my kids are in college, so they're kind of taking care of themselves. And I have a 4-year-old, so it's a nice sweet spot. But I will say, though, it is like the tuition bill stuff.
That'll hit hard.
Yes.
And thankfully, not only do you have your NFL checks, but you have the many business ventures you've started since then. I looked this stuff up. You're now a professional astrologer. You're a herbalist. Obviously, you have your Heisman, your cannabis company. What does Ricky Williams not do these days? Am I missing
there's
something?
not much that I don't do. I mean, I'm staying extremely busy, and like I said, I have a 4-year-old, so that, you know, when I'm not traveling, I'm pretty busy at home. But it's like I was saying earlier, in football, you have there's so much energy that's required to be good and to show up. So you get a habit of needing something to put everything into, and it's hard after football to find one thing. And so for me, I find I've had to find multiple things, but I keep myself busy and I'm happy. So it's all good.
You could tell the joy that you have, that it kind of radiates off you. Ricky Williams here joining us, the 1998 Heisman winner with the Texas Longhorns, 2 major stints with the Miami Dolphins. And of course, again, like you said, a man of many trades these days. I'm curious for you, man. We talk about this all the time now. It's the return of the running back. I think about your playing days, and I think about just how much of a high of a watermark it was when you think of all of the greats that played that position, and you stood out amongst them. When you look at this kind of return, it almost feels like a revival of that position. Who are some of the guys that you enjoy watching the most these days?
I mean, I think everybody's has to answer Saquon just because he put on a show last year, and we can't forget about Derrick Henry. And you know, as a connoisseur of football, I realized that for a running back to be successful, to a certain extent, the whole team, but for sure the offense kind of has to be built around them. Because in the week of practice, you only have so much time practice something. And so the teams that say, okay, we're going to make sure that running the ball is a priority, they have to put time and reps and effort and practice. And that's reps that aren't being used in the passing game. So to me, it's wonderful to see that people, coaches, appreciating the value of the running game, which leads to appreciating the value of the running back.
You are clearly a valuable running back. Your college career, I still contend, because I'm from Texas, you are my all-time great college running back. You retired with the most career yards. You clearly were worth a lot coming out of college because the Saints gave up all that, a bag of chips, the kitchen sink, whatever they had left. They gave it all up for you to get you in the draft and whatnot. But for you, when you think of some of the great college running backs, who are the ones that stick out to you? Don't give me a Mount Rushmore. People do that too often, but just show some love to some guys that maybe don't get enough when it comes to like dominant college football careers.
Yeah, and I think I feel most equipped to talk about the running backs that played around the same time that I played, because that's when I was paying the most attention to the other running backs. And a lot of really good running backs came out of Nebraska, but Amon Green, I mean, yeah. he was nice. He was nice and fun to watch. A running back that a lot of people have heard about because he won a lot of championships with the Patriots, but in college at LSU was really, really good, was Kevin Falk.
Man, long career too.
Yeah. And then, because, some guys don't make it in the NFL, but if you go back and look at their college tape, it's impressive. So Curtis Enis, Kejana Carter, oh, man. Two guys from Penn State, really good backs that were playing about the same time that I was playing. Everyone knows about him, but Fred Taylor was a hell of a back at Florida. It was fun to watch.
And that's a guy from this area. Yeah, we love us some Fred
Yeah.
Taylor out here.
Yeah.
Ricky Williams joining us here, Theo Dorsey on Emotion Monday on Theoretically Speaking. You're joining us because you're going to be in the Palm Beach County area coming here soon. This is an event held out in Boca Raton. It is the simplest black and white 200 Keys to Freedom event hosted by Wheels from the Heart. They're going to be giving out their 200th car to a single mother and their children. And you and legendary football coach Butch Davis, who obviously has roots out here in Miami, and many others are going to be out there to celebrate with them. What about that cause strikes a chord with you where you got involved?
I mean, I'm not making this up, but I feel emotional just hearing you say it, because I was raised by a single mother, and so I have a deep appreciation for the fact that it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child, and any time that people reach out to me and I see that the community is doing a good job to take care of the young people and the families, I have a soft spot for it, because I wouldn't be here if there weren't people in my community growing up that looked out for my mom and our family. And so, yeah, it's definitely near and dear to my heart.
It resonates with you, and I know it resonates with many. That is the story of many, and people are in great positions like yourself and are able to give back to this cause. So if you're hearing that, maybe you want a Ricky Williams autograph, but also you want to be able to contribute to a great cause. That event is in Boca Raton, Crazy Uncle Mike's in Boca Raton, Thursday at 6 p.m., and you can tap in there. Tickets available on www.healsfromtheheart.org, and you can just look it up, Heals from the Heart. Tap in, get to check in with Ricky Williams. Maybe you pick up some good tips on. I know you're a herbalist, maybe you can pick up some good tips on that stuff as well. What about this journey with astrology? Where did that start from?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. It started back where we started this conversation in 2004 when I retired. And I remember the moment before I called the NFL to say I don't want to be a player no more. I saw my whole life flash in front of my eyes, and every image was like football. And I had this sense that if I do this, who am I? This big question mark. But I did it, and so I was sitting with this question of who am I, and I was looking around for anything that could help me answer the question. And I met this lady who started talking to me about astrology. And And I just met this lady, and we talked for about 2 hours. And after talking to her, I didn't know who I was, but I had a better sense of who I was. And so I said, can you teach me this whatever you're doing? Because I think it can be really helpful for me right now. And so I just became obsessed with studying it, and it's really helped me appreciate who I am and how to be myself more. And when a lot of people come up to me, one of the things they say because of what I did in 2004 is, we admire you because of your courage to be yourself. And so because that's the type of person I attract, I use astrology to help people see themselves and be themselves.
You know who you are, so you know who you aren't, and that's a big part of everybody's journey.
Oh man!
But like, think about your journey, man. Like your career. Like, I don't know the half of it clearly because you lived it, but it just reminds me almost of like the Alchemist, because it's like the joy is in the journey. You went through so many ups and downs and peaks. You were a Heisman winner. You were disappointed, I heard, on draft day because the Browns didn't pick you at 1, but the Saints go all in on you. Like, what do you think was the highest point of your career, though? What's the moment that stands out the biggest?
If I say my whole career, then it has to be winning the Heisman Trophy, breaking the NCAA all-time rushing record and winning the Heisman Trophy. You know, because when I was a kid, I didn't want to be a professional football player. I wanted to be a professional baseball player, but I wanted to be a college football player. And so to leave college as the all-time leading rusher, all-time leading scorer, all-time leading all-purpose yards, win the Heisman Trophy, that was the peak of the mountain. And everything else after that kind of was coming down the mountain. If you're asking the peak of my NFL career, 2002, getting traded to Miami and leading the NFL in rushing, becoming an All-Pro, that was fun. But also in that year was the biggest disappointment. You know, we lost to the Patriots in the last 4 minutes of the game. And our team was so good. We had a shot really to go all the way that year.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think it gets lost on people's minds just how long the playoff win drought has been for the Miami Dolphins. You obviously experienced that as a player. Do you remember playing with Orende Gatson?
I did. I sure do.
You see, you know, his son is now on the Los Angeles Chargers now as a tight end coming out of Syracuse.
I did not know that.
Orende Gatson. This is the gap, though. This is the gap. Orende Gatson, he was the leading person in receptions for the Dolphins the last time they won a playoff game in 2000 against the Colts in the AFC wildcard game. His son is now playing in the league, and since he was catching balls for the Dolphins, they have not won a play. Like, that drought is incredible.
Wow.
Not that I don't want to point that out for you to start reflecting on the almost times, but it's just.
At least, right? At least I could say we have almost times, but those are painful because they're. But I think the almost ones are the most painful because it was so close. You could taste it.
What do you think was the closest call in your career? Like a game where it's like you knew one play goes different, one thing you might have reflected on, man, I could have did that just a slight bit different, and that outcome is totally different.
I mean, it's like therapy, man. Getting all the deep stuff out, bringing it all to the surface. It's those games, the playoff game. Okay, here's the game. We were playing against the Bills, and this was 2009. And Ronnie had got hurt and was out for the season, and I started playing full time. And had a big game against the Panthers, right? 3 touchdowns, 120-something yards. And we were on a roll. And we went to Buffalo, and we had called a play where it was like a wildcat play where I was at quarterback, and it was a goal line play. I was supposed to catch it and then take 2 steps and then throw it to the tight end. All right. And we called the play. I got the ball, and linebacker came free. Someone was supposed to block him. So he came free, and I kind of panicked, and I threw the ball, and it was intercepted in the end zone. And we would have won the game if we would have scored. If I had at least kicked a field goal, we probably would have won that game.
I'm looking at it right here. Yeah, you're 0 for 1 in that game with an interception. Do you remember who picked you off? Because that's got to be bad. Like you don't get to throw the ball.
It was Chris Draft. All right.
I feel bad bringing these things up, Ricky, but you don't get to throw the ball often.
It's good. it's good because it's good, and I think if we would have scored, we would have won that game. We would have gone to the playoff. I'm not saying we would have won a playoff game, but we would have gone. We would have had an opportunity to break the streak.
One more bite at the apple. One more bite at the apple right there.
Exactly.
Ricky Williams joining us here. Again, all-time great college running back and a man who has so many great memories with the Miami Dolphins, and obviously that one interception, just a small sore spot. But you're going to be here in South Florida for a major event. I'm curious to you, man. I've heard you talk about this on multiple occasions, that time in college at the University of Texas in your Heisman campaign year in 98, where you came off of, you said, a couple of bad games. Your buddy invited you over. Just could you retell that story for those that don't know, the thing that might have changed the trajectory of your career.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll set it up a little bit. So, my junior year in college, led NCAA in rushing and scoring, and I would have been a top 5 pick. But I decided to come back because I wanted to break records and win the Heisman Trophy. So I put all my eggs in one basket. Right? That's how the story goes. And season starts off, and it doesn't. I mean, I have a couple of good games, and then we get whooped by Kansas State. I think I had like 43 yards rushing, and I have a bad quad strain. So I'm thinking, all right, I messed up, and I'm beating myself up. And it wasn't even it was my roommate, my high school teammate that lived with me, Chad. And Chad was like, "Here, you need to chill." So took the bong, took a couple hits, went upstairs to the loft, and I laid down in my bed, and I just sat there, and I realized it was the first time in weeks that I wasn't obsessing about my performance or my personal issues, and I had like some clarity. And then my mind started thinking about what I could do the following week to get better. Next week, I rushed for 300 yards against Iowa State. Against Rice. And the next week, I rushed for 350 yards against Iowa State, and I'm back in the Heisman race, and ... The rest is history.
Well,
so, and it wasn't like after that moment I started smoking all the time, but it was a note that this helped, right? And dare I say, and where I was mentally, physically, it was medicine, because it changed my perspective and it allowed me to get out of the negative thinking and get into something that could be more helpful to me.
I'm curious to you, though. Do you think part of that is the healing powers of the cannabis, but the other part of it is, we got Rice on the schedule next, and I'm Ricky Williams?
Yeah. Well, it's both, though, because if my head is in the dump, I'm not realizing that. I'm just thinking I suck, I'm not good, I'm not able to tap into that. So it's both, right? Because I think when you lift your vibration, right, it's like if you go up in the elevator, you can see more, you have greater perspective. When you're down in the basement, you just are cold and complaining. So, right, and I think that's why they say it's getting high, because it's like you're raising your vibration so that you can see a bigger picture and appreciate, right, this is not the end of the world, right? There's always a way out. There's always possibilities.
Man, like the bong that saved that Longhorn season and that created a Heisman winner. Big shout out to Chad. Big shout out to Chad. He came through.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Rest in
peace to Chad. I'm sorry for your loss there. Ricky Williams joining us here on ESPN 106.3, telling us tales from Austin as well as the pros as you gear up for an event that means a lot to you. Now I am going to try and put you on the spot. Can you give me a Mount Rushmore of college football running backs? Of the great ones, right? I know you got your Archie Griffins, you got your Adrian Petersons. I forget that you're a California guy. Growing up, I thought you were from Texas, so maybe you got some kind of West Coast bias. So who would you go as your top 4 college running backs?
Well, I mean, I could do a couple of things here. All right, I could do a Mount Rushmore of Heisman winners from San Diego, California.
Y'all got that many?
We got 4.
Yourself?
Right? Marcus Allen was first, right? Then Rashawn Salam, and then me, and then Reggie Bush.
Wow. I didn't even realize that. Marcus Allen as well, and Salam, Colorado. So y'all, is that a new hotbed? Should we be thinking of California? Y'all are known for quarterbacks, not running backs.
It's not California, it's San Diego.
Specifically.
It's San Diego. It's something in the water.
It's certainly something going on there. And I'm curious, speaking of Heismans, I did see somewhere in this past Heisman voting, you thought the Boise State running back, Ashton Jeanty, should have been the winner of it. You used your first place vote on him, I'm guessing?
I sure did. Sure did.
What did you think about his campaign out there with Boise State? Because it was a little atypical. He got slighted by some because it was in the group of 5, but then also it just so happened to happen at the same time as Travis Hunter, who was doing unthinkable things on offense and defense. Like, what? Just his campaign, his last year at Boise State there. What stood out to you? What do you like about Jeanty's game?
Yeah. So for a moment, back to the Mount Rushmore question. If there's a Mount Rushmore, but the one that's bigger behind on top of Mount Rushmore, that's Barry Sanders.
Oh,
when I was my senior year, every home game, because we had a VCR and they had a special room for me before the game, I would go and there was like a 7-minute highlight film of Barry Sanders, his senior year at Oklahoma State, and I watch it every single home game, to get inspiration. So his senior year was by far okay. Right. Now the answer to the current question.
He's Mount Everest.
It reminded me about Ashton Jeanty. That it was the reminder of Barry Sanders that to me earned my first place vote. And also it reminded me of my junior year, because my junior year I led the nation in rushing, and I was heartbroken that I wasn't even invited to New York. And so, but it was one of those things, like you said, it was Peyton Manning, Randy Moss, Ryan Leaf, and Charles Woodson. So it was just a year where we only won 4 games. So I just didn't make it. So I have a soft spot for running backs who are especially able to do it when everyone knows they're going to get the ball.
It's impressive. It's absolutely impressive. Yeah. And what do you think? You mentioned this before. Not everybody can do it at the NFL level. What does it take for you to be able to translate as a college running back to the pro level? Is it just the system you're in? Is it the line? Is it about the coaching? Like, what do you think is the main thing that'll help guys like him, Omarion Hampton, and the rest of these guys that are coming into the league, that people say this is one of the best running back classes in the history, but it ain't always going to pan out?
Yeah, it's the system. It's like I said, in order to be good at running the ball, you have to commit to it. And that's the coaching staff, that's the offensive line. But I think a coaching staff and an offensive line, because when I was in Miami and I led the NFL in rushing, we didn't have the best line, but we committed to like doing what we did well, and we worked on it, and we were really good at it. So it really is, it's the system. And I think as the NFL, maybe if they're convinced from seeing what Saquon was able to do last year and what the Eagles were able to do, and they can start to imagine how the running game can be an integral part to them winning, they're going to devote more time into scheming, into practicing, into working on it.
I'm liking that transition, because that was the glory days, it feels like, the early 2000s, when people were ripping it up on the ground. I won't hold you any longer, Ricky. I know we'll see you Thursday again at Crazy Uncle Mike's in Boca Raton, Florida, for the Wheels from the Heart donations. They're going to be donating, again, that 200th car to a single mom and her children. It is a momentous occasion. And for anybody that wants to check out Ricky, check out the event itself, Thursday, 6 p.m. in Boca Raton, www.wheelsfromtheheart.org. Tap in with the guy and maybe get a reading from him while you're at it, right? Like, we can give him that.
Exactly.
Appreciate it, Ricky. We're going to go to break. And on the other side, we're going to be attacking NFL divisions. I am Theo Dorsey. That's CCAT. That was Ricky Williams. It's Theoretically Speaking on ESPN 106.3.